Welcome to Wally's Workshop. And here they are, television's home repair couple, Natalie and Wally Bruner.
Well, the same old line. It doesn't look like a workshop, does it? But you know what? If I push a button right up here, the whole bookcase switches around, and $50,000 worth of tools behind that wall. Right, Natalie?
Say a bar was behind there.
Oh, no. But seriously, books in a bookcase like this are worth about $50,000 in tools, and they're not going to cost nearly that much. And you can learn a lot about reading a book on how to do something. And that's how I learned about electricity.
Yeah, but I want you to know something. I wouldn't even understand a book on electricity.
Well, you understand what two wires are? That's about
as far as I go to.
That's about all the understanding you need to do a lot of the things that might need done around the house. Now, I am not going to advocate building your own electric chair or anything like that. There are zoning ordinances in many parts of the country that really forbid a homeowner to do his own wiring. But there are some minor things you can do, and then when the really tough part comes along, get a licensed electrician to come in and make the final hookup. But you can do the mule work. You can do the work that you're paying an electrician anywhere from $10 to $20 an hour, I guess, depending on where you live. But you can drill holes and pull wire through holes so long as it isn't hooked up to the main box. And that's what we're going to show you how to do today. So I'm not going to make an electrician out of you so you can go down and get a journeyman's card, but I'm going to show you some of the things that you can do. And we're going to do that when, Natalie?
Right after Wally's Workshop continues.
That's right. Well, what we have here is a smaller version of the wall in your home, if you have the average sort of house. If you've got a stone house, you have a lot of problems.
Oh, boy.
But
going through stone is really a job.
Going through stone is pretty tough. But even a brick home is like this on the inside of the brick, if it's a relatively new one, so long as, I'd say, if the home was built when in the last 30 or 40 years. Well, it's going to be furred out on the inside, and you're going to have two-by-fours. Or, if you're putting up a new addition, if you're putting up a recreation room, if you build a garage, whatever it is, this is the way the wall is going to look. Now, these are called studs, the upright things. And as you can see on the back, this could be either your exterior siding, or it can also be the drywall, which comes on the front of the house. Now, or comes on the front of the study and into the room. Now, many people, and for good reason, need many electrical outlets in the home. It's a shame to have 4 or 5 lamps plugged into a triple thing that's plugged into the wall, and you got a big rat's nest of wires. Not only is it not very pretty looking, but it isn't too safe, because you're trying to draw too much electricity from one outlet. Now, many codes in different places, electrical codes vary. Some say that you must have a wall outlet every 6 feet all the way around the perimeter of a room. And this, in turn, gives you many more outlets. But adding outlets in new construction is much easier than adding outlets in an existing wall. So we're going to show you new construction first. Now, this is a metal box that you can buy at a hardware store or at an electrical supply house. And you see, it's just a metal box, and this is where the wires run into, and eventually you fit the plugs into the metal box. The top part. Hand me that, honey. The brown plastic. Yeah. Now, this is the plug segment that goes right on top of here. After you put this in the wall, this goes on top of it. Then you put a faceplate on it, and you have a wall outlet all set up. Now, what you do, first of all, before I do anything else, I like to run the wire. And would you give me the wire?
You're going to have to be very, very careful.
In most code, well, all right, now most codes in most cities only require that you use shielded wire, or that you use the metal covered wire or the wire in conduit when it's exposed. So long as the wire runs in between the walls, it can have a regular plastic cover like this, or an insulating cover. Then you see inside, when you peel the first insulation back, you have 3 wires, just like that. This one is a ground wire that attaches to this metal box. So then you just have 2 wires. Now, these are the 2 wires that furnish, one the ground and one the electricity, that furnish the electricity to the box that you're going to put in. Now, of course, you have to first get the wire back in the wall. Okay, so we know what we're about to do. Let's see and show you how it's done. Hold it a minute, dear.
Okay.
I use an electric drill, and I use this for a variety of things, and you say, my gosh, where did he get a drill like that? Well, this is a 5/8 inch drill on the end, and this is just an extension arm, and I think it was 79 cents, maybe the drill was 89, and, or the drill bit.
You bought it a few years ago.
But look, what you do, you drill holes in the study. It is rusty. Okay. See, I lost the church key a long time ago. You know what a church key is now?
Well, I know what I think a church key is.
Well, a church key is a thing that puts in here.
Opener.
No, a church key fits in this little hole, and that's what you tighten up your bit. But I had mine taped on the cord, and it fell off a year or so ago, and I lost it. But
I suppose you're going to want a new one.
Yeah, but now that you have the hole drilled, you see, you feed the wire through just like this. And you can go all the way around a room like this if you so desire. Mm-hmm. And this is how you hide the wire and conceal it inside the wall. Then when you put your wall board up here or paneling or whatever you go over, the wire is concealed. Now you want to install the box. So let's say you want an outlet right over here. Now your box has all kind of holes in it on the outside, and you can put nails in a variety of places. Also, in your box, you have things here that are removable. Now, if we get a good tight shot of this, I'll show you. Just stick a screwdriver in one of those, and see that pulls right out. And that's where your wire is going to go down into the box. Okay, let's pull the wire right on down. And let's say you're running all the way from the other side of the room, and now you come up here, and here's your wire, and you need the box to put it in. So first, position the box up against the wall at whatever height you want this box from the baseboard of the floor. Now, you want to let the lip of the box come out sufficiently so that whatever you're going to put over the front of it, whatever you're going to put over the wall covering, for example, if you're going to put 3/8" drywall, then you want the lip of this box to extend out 3/8 of an inch past the 2x4. If you're going to use 1/4 inch paneling, then you only want it to come out 1/4 of an inch. But either way, position it where you want it, put your nail here, take a hammer, and just nail it in. Put a nail all the way through, then take another one and do the same thing at the bottom. Square it up to the eye. Now, yes, it should be should be square to the eye. You don't have to use it for
yeah, that's what I meant.
Yeah. Now you take your wire, and you're going to thread it into the box through the hole that you pulled out. I have to trim off this because I was showing you what it was all like. So don't start stripping the wire back till you get it in. There we go. Reach up inside. Pull the wire right on through. Now, let me tilt this back. If you look right up at the top here, there's a screw right here, and there's a clamp that's going to hold that wire nice and tight when you tighten up the screw. That'll keep the wire from moving, and in case someone, you just can't pull the wire loose, and you can't short out from someone tugging on it. So tighten that up very well. And there it is. Now, you're ready to put on the faceplate. So what you have to do at this point, I need a linoleum knife. That's that thing right there. This, as I said, is indeed a linoleum knife, but I like to use it for a variety of things, including electrical wire stripping or cutting insulation off wires.
And that saves money. We can use one tool for various jobs.
But see, you peel off the top layer of insulation.
I'm the economist of the family.
And underneath the top layer of insulation, you're going to find 3 more wires. Now, the reason they're using 3 wires today, they only used to use 2. And if you have an older home, you probably only have 2 wires running to wall outlets. But in recent years, they came up with a new code where they advocate a 3rd wire. And the 3rd wire doesn't mean that the voltage necessarily is 220. What the 3rd wire means is giving you an additional ground wire, so you can ground all of the fixtures as well.
I won't ask why, because I won't even understand.
Well, a lot of people, you need a good ground. And quite often a ground might fail. This is a spare ground, so to speak. And they say it's safer to have this type of wiring in your home.
And the spare ground is the one that's not covered with plastic.
That's right. Now you hook, for example, I'll show you. You hook up the spare ground directly to the box. Now you can hook it to any screw in this box. But what you want grounded is the box itself right there. So I think the best way to do it, you can come right inside. Now, you can take this wire and push it up in there and bend it around so you can get it back in the back, okay? Now you got 3 wires out. Now take your ground and you have another little screw down there. Trim the wire just a bit. Push it down to the bottom. And you just want it to make good electrical contact with the box. Then again, run this screw down. Now you know that the box is well grounded. Now you're ready to strip these 2 wires.
What's that little thing, Wally?
Well, it's a little thing that makes stripping wires a lot easier. It's a stripper. I thought you'd recognize it, you know, from your past profession. Huh?
You're terrible.
No, she used to be a furniture stripper.
That's right.
Also walls, also floors.
All right, now, you got the 2 wires. You're ready to put the plug or the receptacle type device, appliance. I don't know what they call that
Well,
thing.
don't answer.
The plug face. And we're going to put that in and show you what it's all about. But first, I think we better take a break right now. And we'll be back to show you the rest in just a moment. Okay, now we've got the wire in. We're ready to put this thing on, as I was telling you about. And this is the thing that you plug the appliances into and get the electrical power. Now, you have 2 wires sticking out. You have a black one and a white one. Now, this is pretty standardized, I think, throughout most of the country. Black and white. Your black wire, well, let's see, which way is it now? I have to stop and think for just a moment. Your black wire used to be ground when it was black and red. But now that it's black and white, your black wire is the hot wire, and your white wire is the ground wire. Now, in order to do it properly, you ought to put a little loop in the end of the wire. And the reason you're putting the little loop in is because you see you have a screw on either side of the box. And you want to take that little loop and loop the wire right over it, and then you tighten the screw down, okay? Now, another thing you ought to know when you're putting this thing in, you have a wire that goes on each side. Notice right here, this is silver looking. Turn it over. The ones on the other side are gold or copper looking. All right, put the hot wire to the copper one. In that case, this is the black. Loop the wire right over the screw. Now, put your ground on the silver one. Like that. Now, you got them hooked over. Take a screwdriver. And come on, screwdriver. Tighten them down. See, Natalie, even you could do this.
I'm not sure about that, Wally.
Why?
Well, I think there's a
Now, you also get directions with these things.
fear of working with anything electric. At least I have it. I assume a lot of other people do.
Well, remember, I'm doing all this without the wire being hooked up on the other end.
I know.
And
so
I
there's
emphasize
no possible
that.
way.
But, another thing that's very difficult for me to recall is which one is a hot wire and which one is a ground wire. And every time before I do any wiring, I go look at the main fuse box and see which wire they hooked up to the hot place in the main fuse box and which one they hooked up to the ground
But as you say,
I go back
they
and
do
try to
have
do
directions with these, Wally, when they...
Well, yeah, if you're an electrician, you'll understand them. But as I say, you can buy handyman-type books, and the handyman-type books will give you a diagram on how to do it. Now, you have a couple of screws that you attach the face, or this plate right here, into the metal box. There's one at the top and one at the bottom. And you run them both in. This is what gives you a solid fixture. One that isn't loose and jangly and...
Yeah, that looks very solid and sturdy.
That's because I use big nails to put it in. But this is the easiest type to put in a new construction. Where it gets a little sticky is when you start trying to add an additional outlet in an already existing wall in your home. But see, you tighten those, bring them up good and snug, and there you are.
Oh, that looks nice.
And that's hooked up. Now, get a friend that's an electrician or hire one, and he'll come and hook up the other end for you. Now, what are you going to do if you're going to put one on an existing wall? Well, let me move this thing and turn it around, and I'll show you what exactly is going to happen. Now, while you were getting the good word during the last commercial break, I proceeded to knock a hole in my wall. Now, this is the same type of wall that most homes have. It's drywall, it's 3/8 of an inch thick, and
a little messy.
a little piece of paper. I don't see it. I must have dropped it out. But a little piece of paper comes with this type of box right here. And let me have it there. There we go. This is called a template. And this is packed right inside the box. And when you get the box, take out the piece of paper, and you put it up on your wall, and you take a pencil and trace around the edges of it. Now, the reason you trace around this is exactly the shape of the box you're going to put in the wall. so you have to cut out this opening. Now, you can see you don't have to be that exact, because mine looks pretty ragged.
I don't know whether you have to, but you certainly were.
Yeah, but see?
Yeah, it's not
There
bad.
you go.
And you're going to have a cover over it anyway, too.
Now, after you put the box in, the space plate goes over it like that. And so you can get by
There's
with
a
a
little
few.
room for error.
Yeah, you can, well, there's plus or minus a quarter of an inch when you do stuff like this. So the faceplate's going to cover it. Now, the box that I'm using, you don't have to worry about nailing this box into a 2x4 because this has an expansion clamp on either side of the box. For example, here's one that I've taken a screwdriver and started working on. As you see, as you turn the screw, this clamp, instead of being flat, suddenly comes up. There's one here and one on this side, and this pulls against the wall from the back. These things here hold the box in the front, and it fastens up. Now, let me show you how it's done. Take your box, and let's assume you've already got your wire through here, and your wire's coming out, and you run your wire in through one of these things in the back. These lift out, by the way, just like the ones on the other one. Take a screwdriver. Take out one of those things. That's where your wire goes in. Pull it right on through, and then push your box right up into the wall. Then take the screwdriver, and you start tightening. And this isn't the biggest difficulty of putting a box like this in an existing wall is not cutting the hole or sticking the box in. The biggest problem is fishing the wire.
Getting the wire.
But if you're putting the box, if your home has a basement, and you're putting a box on the first floor, all you have to do is go down in the basement, first find out where the partition that you're going to put the outlet in is in the ceiling of the basement. You look up there and you find out where the partition is. Maybe you'll have to measure the ceiling and measure the floor upstairs to find it exactly. And then take a drill and drill a hole right up through the basement ceiling into the middle of the partition. Then send your wife down in the basement and let her
get into the act.
and give her this end of the wire and say, stick this end of the wire up through the hole. Now, you've already got this cut out of the wire. And as she sticks this up through the hole from the basement, say, wave it around a little bit. And she'll jiggle it and pull it up and down. And you'll watch in here. And then pretty soon, well, without the box there, you'll see the wire going back and forth.
Before we put the box in.
Yeah, you have to do that before you put the box in. You'll see the wire waving around. You reach in and grab it. Don't tell her. Keep her down there until you finish this, because if you don't, she'll say, don't get dust all over the floor and don't do this and don't do the other thing. So don't tell her when you find it out. Now, again, this is the device, of course, that goes right inside this one, just like the other one. And after this goes in and you tighten it down, and notice this is kind of tight in there already. Yeah, nice and tight. It works well. Then your faceplate goes over top, and that covers up all the mistakes you made.
And you've got lots of different colors.
Yeah, they're in wood, they're in white, they're in the brown plastic like we have here. You can even get them in ceramics. But this is the mule part of being an electrician. And there's no sense in paying a good electrician however much an hour he wants for cutting holes in walls and running wires.
Electricians watching this show aren't going to like you.
No, because this is the part of the job they don't like either.
Oh.
They really don't like doing this sort of thing. They'd
Well,
much
if they get
prefer...
that much an hour, I should think they really wouldn't.
Yeah, but I think they'd rather go around all day and just hook up wires to a main fuse box as opposed to drilling holes and crawling through attics and crawling under crawl spaces of the house.
I have a feeling we're going to hear from electricians.
You know the funny thing? My nephew's an electrician. He taught me everything I knew. But anyway, that's how you can put a wall plug in. I don't think it's that complicated, but be careful when you're working with live wires. Try never to do it unless you have an expert right at your side.
Like me.
Yeah. Dog around your house. If you do, here's the tip of the day. Look what our old English sheepdog and our German shepherd did to the front screen door. Now, as you can see, they really made a shambles of it, scratching on it and trying to get in. But it's not difficult to replace screening. First, you remove the molding. And there's a molding strip all the way around. Take the screening, yank it off. Now, throw it away. That's taken care of. Now, you ought to clean it up a little bit and get the strands off, and as you can see, they come off quite easily. Just pull them off with your finger. Now, you can buy screening wire at a hardware store, or wherever screening wire is sold, as the fellow said. And again, I like to use a staple gun, the same old staple gun I used for draperies and lambrequins and everything else. Cut it with any kind of a knife, and then simply staple it on. Now, the simplest way, cut it a little bigger than the opening. Stretch it nice and tight. Set your staples in to hold it. And you see, your molding will go right back on, right over top of it like that. Now look how easily this cuts. This is just a regular utility knife, and take your knife, draw it right across. It isn't that difficult to cut it at all. Now, if you want to, you can put your molding on, and then cut it after the molding is on. Now, if you cut it a little bit too wide, and you have that much left over, you can take your knife, draw it right along the edge of the molding, and see, you can cut it so it butts right up to the molding. But it's a very simple job to replace the screen on a screen door. Don't throw it away or worry about it. Just go down and buy some screening for a few pennies, and you can have a new-looking screen door in just a matter of minutes. And now, Natalie, what do you have for us coming up?
Well, once again, it's time to choose next week's chore on Wally's Workshop, so here we go.
Pandora's box. I can hardly wait.
How does that hit you for next week?
Well, this is another one of the jobs, and I don't know if you want to try it or not, but just in case you ever do, we're going to give you some pointers on it that may be of some help to you. You're pretty good at doing something like this. Why don't you do the show next week?
Oh, all right, I will.
Will you really? You'll do the whole thing?
No, but I'll be here to assist you as I always am.
Yes, and that's all you really need when you start doing the job around the house, is having your wife, who claims to be an assistant, but yet she's really, you know, the hard-hat boss that's leading you around with a nose. But I hope you can join us, because we'll give this a try next week on Wally's Workshop.
This has been Wally's Workshop. Be sure to join us again next week for more home repair and remodeling ideas. And remember, you can do it if you try.